I'm going to make sure you regret this, Marissa shouted as I caught her trying to sneak into my backyard. She had posted my private estate online for sale. I was stunned. She had listed my peaceful retreat for $50,000, trying to sell it to any unsuspecting buyers. Even worse, she had involved the authorities, claiming that I had threatened her. But here's the thing. I had spent years studying real estate, and I knew exactly what she was up to. There was something about her property that she hadn't realized, something that would change the entire game. Let's just say she couldn't even step near her so-called dream lake anymore. Want to know how I pulled it off? Wait until you hear the shocking details. Every morning, I walk along the quiet shores of my lake with Max, my loyal dog, by my side. This place was once a dream share between me and my late wife, Claire. We'd often talk about how we'd retire here, live out our days by the water, and maybe even build a small fishing lodge. It was one of the happiest thoughts we shared. But life took that dream away. 3 years ago, Claire was killed by a drunk driver running a red light. It shattered everything. The house we had planned to grow old and became too much to bear. So I sold everything I had and moved to a secluded 5-acre plot with a 2-acre lake. It wasn't just any lake. It was our lake, the one Claire had always dreamed about, and I wanted to keep that dream alive. Having spent 15 years as a property appraiser, I was done with all the shady deals and underhanded tricks of the real estate world. This new home was for peace and solitude. Max became my only companion, and we settled into our new life away from the chaos. The lake, surrounded by willows swaying in the breeze, was the true heart of my new world. Every evening, I'd cast my fishing line into the water, finding comfort in the silence and serenity, with Max always by my side. It was paradise until Ava Lawson moved into the area. Ava arrived 6 months ago, and from the very start, something felt off. She immediately introduced herself as the head of the Maple Ridge Women's Association, a title that seemed absurd, considering the community only had about 15 homes. She went door to door, pushing ideas for progress and economic development, mostly for her own benefit, of course. Most people kept their distance, but Ava didn't stop. She continued to meet people in the local shops, talking about the untapped potential and how she could help modernize our sleepy little town. At the time, I had no idea how far Ava was willing to go. It turns out, her situation was far worse than I had imagined. Ava wasn't just annoying. She was desperate. Ava had run away from the city after her real estate business collapsed. She'd been caught forging documents and stealing deposits from clients for houses that didn't even exist. She owed over $200,000 to the bank and had borrowed $50,000 from some very dangerous people. If she didn't pay them back soon, they'd come after her. She had changed her name from Ava James to try to erase her past and fled to our quiet town, thinking she'd escaped. But the debt didn't disappear, and Ava was plotting to rebuild herself with our town's resources. Her plan? To turn our entire community into a luxury eco-resort, with my lake at the center of it all. She had already created brochures and even compiled a list of potential investors, thinking that if she could control the lake's access, she would become a millionaire. As far as she was concerned, my private lake was just an inconvenient obstacle in her grand plan. The morning everything changed began like any other. I woke up early, made coffee, and let Max out for his morning walk. Just as I was getting ready, my phone started ringing. At first, it was just one call, then another, then another. By the time I checked, I had over 50 missed calls and a flood of messages. "Is this Alex? I'm interested in the lake property," one message read. "I'll pay $60,000 cash. I'm flying in from Florida tomorrow." I opened my laptop in disbelief. Ava had posted my property for sale online with professional photos, drone shots, and even mock-up designs of cabins on the lake. She was offering the lake for $50,000 as part of her vision for development. It was my sanctuary, my connection to Claire, now reduced to an advertisement. My first reaction was to call the authorities, but I knew it would take time. This needed immediate action. I grabbed Max and stormed out of my house, racing toward Ava's property. The walk to her place seemed impossibly short as anger filled my chest. I found her watering her garden, her ever-present fake smile plastered on her face. "Good morning, Alex. Beautiful day, isn't it?" she chirped, pretending nothing was wrong. "Are you out of your mind?" I shouted. "You're selling my property without my consent." She didn't flinch, but her smile turned icy. "Oh, Alex," she said dismissively. "That lake's been underused for years. I'm helping our town. This is an opportunity for everyone." "No, it's my lake. My property," I said, stepping closer, fists clenched. She laughed cruelly. "Do you even have the proper documentation? Or are you just squatting on public land? I've got people in county offices who tell me property lines around here are unclear." Her confidence wavered for a moment, but then I noticed her hand moving behind her back, likely dialing 911. Before I could say another word, she suddenly collapsed backward, screaming at the top of her lungs. "No, please. Don't hurt me. Help. He's going to kill me." She had already connected to emergency services, and within minutes, 2 police cruisers screeched to a halt at her house. Officers jumped out, guns drawn. Ava ran toward them, clutching her phone, tears streaming down her face. "Thank God you're here. He's going to kill me," she screamed. The next 30 minutes were excruciating. The officers separated us, listening to Ava's exaggerated story about how I had threatened her. I tried to explain, showing them the online listings, but they seemed skeptical. Thankfully, Mrs. Peterson, who lived down the road, had security cameras, and when the officers reviewed the footage, it showed me standing there perfectly calm, while Ava threw herself to the ground. No contact, just a man and his dog. The sergeant looked at Ava with a stern expression. "Ma'am, filing false reports is a serious offense." Ava's tears dried instantly, but she persisted. "This doesn't show everything. He threatened me." The sergeant sighed. "Both of you need to resolve this civilly. No more confrontations." As the officers left, Ava shot me a glare, but I knew I'd won this round. That night, I sat at my desk, scrolling through county records. 15 years in real estate had taught me to dig deep when necessary. I wasn't going to let Ava steal everything Claire and I had dreamed of. I pulled out old survey maps and cross-referenced them with modern records. Around midnight, I discovered something crucial. There was a forgotten parcel of land right between Ava's property and my lake, land that hadn't been claimed in decades. It was the key to blocking her access to the lake. The next day, I filed to purchase it. Ava had no idea what I was about to do. Within a few days, I had the legal right to block her access completely. You've got Plot X, a measly 75 square meter strip that leads right up to your fence. Congratulations on your $10,000 sidewalk to nowhere, I said, watching her fury grow. Marissa rushed toward the gate, shaking it violently. "Open this, Marcus. I'll sue you. I'll ruin you," she yelled, her voice trembling with outrage. Max, sensing her hostility, let out a sharp bark, and Marissa flinched, stepping back. "Go ahead and sue, but you might want to save that money for the refunds you're going to owe the Murphys and the other investors," I replied calmly, knowing the tables were turning in my favor. Just then, Thomas and Linda Murphy, my elderly neighbors, pulled up in their old truck. Thomas rolled down his window and surveyed the scene with a smirk. "Good morning, Marcus. Nice fence you've got here," he said with mock admiration. Then, turning to Marissa, he asked, "Everything all right, Miss Gray? You look a little flustered." Linda leaned out from the passenger side. "Oh dear, Marissa, where did all your investors go? They left so quickly." Marissa glared at them, her anger barely contained. Thomas chuckled. 40 years I've lived here, and I've never seen anyone outsmart themselves so badly. You bought a road to nowhere, didn't you?" Linda added sweetly. "It's like when city folks buy oceanfront property at high tide. Sometimes local knowledge goes a long way." Sarah Wilson jogged by, smartphone in hand. "Oh wow. Marissa, someone just posted a video of all those investors leaving your property. It's got over 300 views already, and it's spreading fast." Sarah showed us her phone screen, where shaky footage of the investors storming off was going viral. The comments were brutal: exposed scam artist, fraud queen, locked her up, and more. Marissa's face paled as the weight of her lies came crashing down. Her perfect morning had turned into a public humiliation. "This isn't over, Marcus," she hissed at me. I have connections, resources. You've made a powerful enemy. No, you made an enemy the day you tried to steal my property, I said evenly. I just decided to fight back. Marissa stormed off, her heels clicking angrily on the pavement. But as she walked away, I noticed her shoulders shaking, whether from rage or despair, I couldn't tell. Max and I stood by the new fence, watching her retreat. The morning sun was fully up now, casting long shadows across the land. The lake glistened peacefully in the distance, safe again. Good boy, I told Max, scratching behind his ears. We did it. But even as I savored the victory, I knew this wasn't over. Desperate people do desperate things, and Marissa was desperate. She had spent all the money she had on permits, plans, and probably some personal debts. Now she would have to answer to those angry investors, and I wasn't about to let her off easy. Thomas, seeing the look in my eyes, parked his truck and walked over. That was something, Marcus. But be careful. That woman's got the look of someone with nothing left to lose. I know, I replied, my tone serious. She started this war, but she's not going to get away with it. Just remember, Thomas said, his face grave. Winning battles doesn't mean winning the war. She'll come at you again. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a notification. Marissa was already launching her counterattack. It was going to get ugly. But for now, I had my lake, my fence, and the satisfaction of watching 25 investors drive away from her scam. The next morning, just as the sun began to rise, 2 police cruisers rolled up my driveway, lights flashing. This time, Marissa had brought backup. Officers Rodriguez and Kim stepped out, clearly weary of what was turning into a neighborhood feud. Behind them, Marissa stepped out of her car with exaggerated care. Her arm was wrapped in a bandage, and her makeup was done in a way that made her look pale and victimized. She had even brought along Jeremy Peterson, the new neighbor from the old Baker house, looking nervous. "Thank you for coming, officers," Marissa said, her voice shaking with fake fear. "Yesterday's incident left me terrified. Mr. Marcus assaulted me when I tried to discuss the fence situation. Jeremy saw everything. Jeremy shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. I saw Mr. Marcus push Marissa. She fell and hurt her arm on the fence," he said, his voice unsteady. Max growled softly from behind the door, sensing the deceit. Officer Rodriguez looked skeptical but followed the protocol. "Mr. Marcus, we need to ask you about yesterday's alleged incident. Ms. Gray claims you assaulted her around 4 p.m. near the new fence." I stayed calm, expecting something like this. "Officers, I have security cameras that cover my property, including the fence line. Everything that happens here is recorded in high definition with audio. Would you like to see yesterday's footage?" For a moment, Marissa's confident mask slipped. She hadn't realized I had cameras everywhere. "Those videos can be edited," she snapped quickly, trying to backpedal. "Everyone knows about deep fakes these days." Officer Kim, unfazed, pulled out a tablet. "Ma'am, our department can verify video authenticity. Mr. Marcus, can you show us the footage?" I invited them inside and pulled up the footage on my laptop. The timestamp read 4:07 p.m. Clear footage showed Marissa approaching the fence alone, no Jeremy in sight. She kicked the gate a few times, then deliberately scraped her arm against a protruding bolt before walking away. It was all captured from several angles. The officers stood silent as they watched. Jeremy's face went pale. Rodriguez turned to him with a stern voice. "Mr. Peterson, would you like to revise your statement? Remember, filing a false police report is a felony." Jeremy crumbled. "She offered me $5,000 to back up her story. I needed the money. My daughter needs medical treatment. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Marissa's face twisted with rage. "You idiot," she screamed at Jeremy, abandoning any pretense of civility. "I should have known better than to trust a weakling like you." Rodriguez didn't hesitate. "Ms. Gray, you're under arrest for filing a false police report and witness tampering." As the officers cuffed her, Marissa locked eyes with me, her hatred palpable. "This isn't over," she spat. "You have no idea who you're messing with. I've got connections you can't imagine. You'll regret this." But her threats fell flat. The officers guided her to the patrol car, and I felt nothing but weariness. I knew the real battle was still ahead. As Marissa spent her afternoon building a smear campaign online, the situation continued to escalate. She posted fabricated stories, claiming I was a dangerous, deranged man, making up images and screenshots of threats I had never sent. The posts were designed to ruin my reputation, but I wasn't going to let her lies win. I posted the truth about Marissa Gray, exposing her crimes, fake injury, and bribery attempt backed by evidence. It quickly went viral, gaining thousands of shares and widespread condemnation. By the end of the day, Marissa deleted her social media, but the truth had already spread.